So, what is a cult? Most people think they know what that word means. But actually, it's kind of slippery because one person's cult is another person's religion. Now, one difference is that a cult normally has a central charismatic leader. Now, that leader is a man. Well, sometimes it's a woman, but, normally a man who convinces a group of people to ignore the actual experiences of their lives in favor of his vision, to put aside their own common sense in favor of his uncommon sense, to put aside actual facts in favor of his alternative facts. The cult members shower that charismatic leader with devotion and money, while the leader insists the followers have blind faith in his vision, a vision only he can achieve. Normally, the cult leader doesn't exactly follow the faith or the philosophy that his followers follow. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it's better for him to be more faith adjacent. That way he can reinterpret whatever it is they already believe in and just make up his own rules. Now, I say what they already believe in because nowadays a cult doesn't always have to be religious. It can be a philosophical cult, twisting the use of reason. It can be a political cult, twisting the agreements that we as citizens make so we can all live together in a society. Woo! Or it can be a religious cult, twisting any ritualized or faith-based organization and what they tell you, when they tell you, they know what happens after you die. Because that's all a religion is. That's it. So anyway, cults aren't always religious, but they used to be. The meaning of the word cult has changed over time, like, you know the word awful? Of course you do. Nowadays, it means terrible and disgusting. But it used to mean more like unimaginably amazing. Something super cool. Full. It used to mean like full of awe-inspiringness. I don't know how it came to mean crappy, but it did. So cult is like that. It's from the Latin word cultus, which just means to worship. That's all it means. So according to the Romans, if you worship any god or gods, you are in a cult. The Romans may have been absolute dicks in a lot of ways, but one thing they knew is that different people in different areas have different faiths. Now, after they conquered you, they were really not interested in messing with how or who you worshipped. Oh, they might just want to stick a statue of their latest deified emperor in your temple until he gets assassinated. But besides that, the Romans weren't going to stop you from worshiping your own gods. The cult of Isis, the cult of Dionysus, the cult of Zarathustra, the cult of Elohim, the cult of Demeter, the cult of Apollo, the cult of Osiris. Cult was not an insult. It was just what you were doing, worshiping. As long as you paid your taxes, the Romans really just did not give a damn who you burned incense to. Until, in order to break 1,000 years of priestly power and all these different cults, the Roman Emperor Constantine, in the gangster move of the millennium, declared himself to be a Christian and confiscated all the wealth and land of the different cults and temples in the name of Jesus. Which really just meant, for him. And suddenly, worshiping any god but the gods besides the god of Constantine was a bad thing. Suddenly it meant you were a pagan. Suddenly it meant you were in a cult. And suddenly, a cult was a bad thing. Oh, Constantine did allow Judaism because it was Christian adjacent. But then, him and the Christians blamed the Jews for the death of Jesus, even though it was really the Romans. And that blaming led to 2,000 years of oppression and murder. So there was that. You may not know this about me, but I was a history major. Anyway, that's how the term cult got changed. It was a redefinition to justify a money and power grab by an emperor. And because of that, we now think of cults less as simply worship and more like a weird group of people seemingly hypnotized by some charismatic leader. And like I said, nowadays a cult doesn't even have to be a religion. And that charismatic leader does not have to be exactly religious. I mean, modern cult members might want him to be a messenger of heaven or wherever. They might want to see him as the second or third or fourth coming of whoever, but he doesn't even have to be able to know how to hold a Bible the right way up. And a lot of times, no one outside of the cult thinks the charismatic leader is particularly charismatic. Sometimes everyone else might think of them as downright repulsive. Now, history is full of these flashy con men fleecing their culty flock while saying that they alone have some revealed truth. A lot of times they end up in jail, but not always. Sometimes they die, take 1,000 of their followers with them, like Jim Jones. Or sometimes they destroy their own country with a devastating war, murdering tens of millions, like Hitler. Sometimes they're just some asshole who inherited a shitload of money, got a reality TV show, and then became president of the most powerful, well-armed country in history. You know, like Donald J. Trump. Now, even though everyone not in his particular cult might think of him as a mediocre-minded, spray-tan, nepo baby swindler felon who failed his way to the top with bluster, racism, and sexism, cult insiders are convinced that despite his failed hotels, failed casinos, failed football league, failed airlines, failed university, failed stakes through the mail company, failed bottled water company, despite his 6 bankruptcies, despite all of this, the insiders believe he is somehow an American success. A solid gold genius who will lead them to the spiritual and financial promised land. Outsiders may see him selling golden sneakers, crypto coins, absolutely worthless NFTs to fleece his followers. But those inside the cult tent are mesmerized, not because he's so amazing, but because they want to be mesmerized. They want to be in there, cheering, staring up at the face of their leader, ecstatic, tears streaming down their faces while throwing love and money at him. Because modern cults are all about the cult members emotionally and financially enriching the leader in exchange for them living vicariously through him. As long as Trump says what they wish they could say, insults who they wish they could insult, grabs what they wish they could grab, punches down on who they wish they could punch down on, as long as he promises to wash from history all the crimes committed by their ancestors and completely wipe away any idea that they inherited any privilege from those ancestors, except for the one privilege they cherish more than life itself, their own whiteness. Well, as long as he does that, Donald J. Trump will be their leader. Doesn't matter if he destroys their jobs, starves their children, ruins their lives, walks on their faces. He can do no wrong. Because Donald Trump acts with the impunity his followers wish they had. And, most importantly, he cultivates and encourages a cherished, misguided belief they've kept deep inside their hearts all their lives. That they are special. Anyway, that's what a cult is.